Hey, what's up, guys? Lou here. I just want to have a quick conversation about Italians, pretty much. The split between the South and the North, some of the Central, whatever. So, um, you know how like you travel around the world and you go to places like Jamaica, Haiti, the Bahamas, all these places, and you see like a familiar group of people. They might talk different, but skin color, look, appearance, they all kind of look the same. Now, while they're all linked to a common ancestor, we're not going to call them from that common ancestor. We're going to call them for whatever it is they're settled in now. So, for example, my point being, Italians from the mainland. So, Italy shaped like a boot. So, picture the boot. The northern part, well, people always been there, probably reflect, I guess, more of a, Germanic, uh, Celtic, Gaulish kind of type going on. People from the central Italy, the original Italians, like, Tuscany, Florence, where actually the main Italian language that's spoken today originated from. Florence, was it Tuscany? Either way, they're kind of like related to, especially people from Tuscany, the Etruscans, and it's interesting, because nobody knows where the heck the Etruscans came from. You know, some people say Asia Minor. Some people say they came from like the south of Italy and settled, in the center part. Whatever the case, they were there, and they eventually intermingled with the people already there, the locals, the Greeks, the Romans, and boom, modern civilization. And that kind of happened all around. In fact, I think Italy probably has to be the most diverse because of how it was kind of sectioned. So pretty much, much like kind of like how most countries were, I guess. I mean, some countries were right from the get go, one group of people. That's it. So, by the way, the Etruscans were like an ancient group of people. So think of like, I don't know, the ancient Greeks, ancient Romans. They were just a Indo-European, maybe Indo-European group. Possibly, like I said, from Asia Minor, which is in Turkey, for you guys who don't know. So yeah. Anyway, Southern Italy, Northern Italy. What's the difference? They all speak the same lingo. They sure do. Especially Sicily, the soccer ball. Remember I told you Italy was shaped like a boot. Well, that little soccer ball part is Sicily. So that's like a whole new ball game on its own. Man, should probably start there. So Sicily, Italy, and Sicily, like the southern part, Calabria, Bari, Naples. So all there, down, including Sicily, probably I guess had like a immigration of different peoples. The most obvious, and I guess like you could pick up a history book and probably read about it, is Magna Graecia, which means Greater Greece. So from Naples down, a whole lot of Greeks. Now let's talk about another group of people, the Phoenicians, right? They came from today's modern Lebanon, so they were like a Semitic group of people, kind of Arab, kind of not, their own thing. It's complicated. I'm not gonna get into it, but anyway, they were in Western Sicily. They were there. They just left for, they were seafaring people, so they kind of like traveled anywhere on boats, and they're really good at it. And they landed in Western Sicily, which they called Ziz, I think, which means like flour. Today it's Palermo, capital of Sicily, And yeah, they were there for a long time, kind of replaced. They had like an on and off relationship with the Greeks that were there on the other side of the island. And right smack dab in the middle of it, you had the native Sicilians, which were also, some of them anyway, of questionable origin. Where the heck they come from, right? Were they always there? Did they migrate? So yeah, the island was contested a lot. So back to the modern switch. So, obviously all these people left influences. I mean, the last major migration, well, I'm not the last, but one of the major migration obviously was when Rome became a superpower. One of the first provinces was that they took over, aside from Italy, was Sicily. Remember, Sicily wasn't connected. I mean, it's connected by like a small, little landmass of water. But other than that, it was its own thing. And they got it. But they didn't like, mass. Like, just think. Like, I know we hear stories of, like, Rome going on killing sprees, which isn't too far from the truth. But they're not going about, I mean, that's just madness. Why would you do that when you could just, intermingle with the people and be like, okay, well, you got a new lord now, a new, king. Sorry, new emperor in that case. So they didn't, massacre the people on the wherever they conquered. In this case, being Sicily, they didn't slaughter everyone there. You know, it just wouldn't make any sense. So they probably intermarried. They probably brought some people from mainland Italy to settle in these regions. So almost business as usual. A really big hiccup and transfer of power. Boom. So now, what do you do with all these people, right, from different parts of the world that settled in southern Italy and Sicily? Like I said, they leave behind their culture. You had in waves I'm talking about. So you had the original natives to southern Italy and Sicily. Then you had the Greeks, who played a big role in southern Italy and Sicily. The Phoenicians, western Sicily. Um, God, all right. So we're getting into modern times now. Uh, you had different kind of religions. You had a big Jewish community in Sicily. You had a big Greek Orthodox thing. Those are from the Byzantines. So the Byzantines, right? The Eastern Roman Empire. Uh, they held on to Sicily for a long time. That definitely shaped the people. Not too much, but just enough. This goes the same for places like Naples, Calabria, which were all provinces of the Byzantine Empire. They would go on and off, with power shifts. Someone else comes in view who has more money. People switch sides, and it gets a lot more complicated than that. And I just don't want to, explain that all to you guys because I think I would lose you. My point is saying, sure, yes, there's likenesses in people that belong there. Italians that come from Italy, yeah, they're Italian. That's it. But if they were to spit in a DNA test, I'm sure that the pinwheel would maybe just be like a fraction different. It wouldn't be 100%. I don't think anyone, unless you're Native American, would be 100% anything. And I wouldn't be surprised if a Southern European did show Greek blood, did have Middle Eastern, Mesopotamian blood or North African blood, because as history ran on, those people I mentioned, you had waves of Byzantines again. So you had Greeks from Asia Minor, still Greeks, just from different parts of the world. So you had to bring their culture in to southern Europe, Italy, southern Italy, Sicily. You had the Arabs, which came from North Africa and southern Spain, and they shaped the island in their view. Not too much getting rid of the people that were there, just maybe integrated them in their society. Then you had the Normans, which were like this French Viking crew. Didn't introduce a lot of their own people, but they were settlers. But they changed the religion. So you had this mix at the time of Orthodoxy, Judaism, and Islam, all in this melting pot of Sicily. But I mean, at this time though, it isn't a chaotic mess. It all kind of fits together like a puzzle because you had them not just borrowing ideas off each other and tolerating each other when it was possible. Uh, Buildings, built that still exist today. That if you look at them, it's remarkable because you have three different influences in like a church, for example, that might have been a mosque and now it's a church, but it still has like the domes. And this is littered throughout southern Italy, Sicily. You can still see it today. And these buildings are, like I said, pretty remarkable that they're still standing. Number one, number two, the influences from outside the region that were just so heavily involved. The people might have spoken Latin, Italian, some Arabic, Yiddish, whatever the Jewish language was at the time, the Semitic language, um, and Greek. There's a lot going on drastically different from central and northern Italy. We had, in those cases, you had Lombards, which were a Germanic group of people. The Normans took a lot of land from the south going down. They owned a lot. They passed their lineage, well, not their lineage, but their power through marriage, through the, I'm going to butcher this name, but the Hofshausen, I'm going to say it. Anyway, it was a German type of regime that took over. As far as leaving a mark, influence, I mean, yeah, but like I said, they gave their powers to, another group and vice versa. So you had like all these influences. You had, like I said, you had Greek, Arab, Roman, obviously, Latin, it's a Latin country. Um, Back to Greek and Arab again. Um, this French influence from the Normans. I told they were like a mixture of like French and Viking, Scandinavian. You had German rulers, um, Spanish rulers, and then finally, when Italy was united, way further down the line, was it they were Italian again. So you see how all this, kind of built up to this, answer that I'm going to tell you guys. So yeah, so basically, you know, Italians, Sicilians, they're the same. They're all Italian. They would write it down if they were to, describe themselves. But I think Sicilians, kind of have more pride because of their history, their background. It's all over the place. So hey, but it's interesting. Like things that stuck, the lingo, the language of Sicilians has a very the base core is obviously Latin based Italian, but it's influenced. You have the Greek, you have the Arabic, and to this day, depending on the regions, it's more prominent than others. But it's there, and it's very interesting. Calabria, very southern tip of Italy, had a very, very big Greek population from ancient times to present. And in fact, there's still communities of Greeks that live in certain regions of southern Italy. It being parts of Calabria, Puglia, I believe. You have the Abrigi, which were Albanians that left Albania during the time of the Ottoman invasion, settled in southern Italy, parts of Sicily. So, back to what I was saying though, while this is going on, these are people with, distinct nationalities just from somewhere else. Like I was saying, the difference between Italians, southern Italians, Sicilians, So while I think they could probably pass, because just like how English is a standard, then you got slang. Same thing goes with other countries too. But dialects, sometimes might, like not so much here in the United States, unless you're like up the mountain somewhere. But um, in Europe, like I said, I'm going to use Italy as an example. So a Sicilian might understand, someone from central Italy or the south, but someone from central Italy, the north, or the south might have to like really, really listen to a Sicilian talk. Now let's go. Because of the differences, the different influences in language, and what stuck and what didn't stick. And like I said, to this day, it's pretty amazing that it's still there. It's still part of the culture and everything else that was inherited by former conquerors and passing over the different regimes of power. Um, I think it's great. Now, if you go this way, towards away from the boot on the other side, uh, not the Eastern European side or the Adriatic, but like, Sardinia, for example, which is another small island right off of Italy. Um, they have their own thing going on. They were conquered. They had different influences, but they relatively stayed the same. I'm sure they could, a Sardinian could understand an Italian, vice versa. But, maybe, some words probably wouldn't connect as much, but part of it will, so they could kind of like, when someone's trying to reference something and you hear a word that you think they're trying to say and you say it and you're like, oh, that's what I was trying to say. So something like that. Sardinians got their own things going on, their own legacy, and, very, very special ancient place. Definitely worth researching. Corsica. Corsica looks like a Mediterranean island. It's in the Mediterranean, obviously. They speak French there. They don't look like the French from TV from Paris. They definitely have a very Mediterranean olive skin, which I'm sure parts of France have that. But Corsica was an Italian island. It was gifted to the French, I believe, and yeah, the main language is French, but also their version of French, what developed over the years. You had this blending and mixing, and I mean, yeah, it's recognizable, but it's so ingrained with how they were raised. It's just how it is. You give people the same recipes, right, for something. I guarantee you, like for two recipes for bread, when it's all done, they're gonna probably taste different and probably have different consistency. It's just how it works, and I just find it really interesting. So yeah, that's a good example of people that look the same, maybe have the same talk, and way about them, but they could be from somewhere completely different, and they just adapt it to where they're at, or you know they roll their R's different, whatever the case. Um, like I said, I still find that very interesting that like I said, so many years later, there's still influences that you could see and hear between southern, central, Sicily, all parts of Italy. Have their own thing going on, but in the end, like I said, it's Italian pretty much, and that's just that. But it's remarkable how history can leave an impression to modern times, and that's a great example. There's other examples out there, there's groups of people that live within countries that definitely immigrated there from years ago, but like I was saying, speak a common lingo, but also the lingo of the people that they settled with. So, you know, it just goes to show you how diverse it was back then. And it wasn't necessarily forced upon or, anything too negative. There were a lot of wars back in the day, but most of the time people from different cultures got together when they can and shared and thrived together. Well, that's the history lesson of the day. Just kind of found that interesting. And if you guys ever want to dig deeper or have any more questions, please ask me. Like I said, it's like my bag, and during these times, I have nothing else better to do. I mean, I do have better stuff to do when I'm not making videos. But like I said, ask away. I'll answer you as soon as I can. And yeah, that's what you get. You're dealing with a history nerd. And, I'm Italian, so obviously I'm going to know a little bit more about Italy and Greece and, you know, parts of Mesopotamia, Asia Minor, I'm here to enlighten you guys. So there you go. All right, thanks for listening. Hope you liked it. Um, Stay healthy. Don't text and drive. And see you all next time. Peace.